So hi guys, um, because a lot of people think I'm just doing videos and they wonder what type of information Ulf is giving out. Um, First of all, I have a Google map here and I would really like to explain this to you. Now, according to the Bible and any government structure, whatever you need, you have to measure a city. I mean, you really, really have to know what's going on within a city in order to present solutions once a city is in trouble. Okay, once a city, and this is true for any city. Now, while other people build their life around all kinds of cities. Okay, I mean, we have here like the stars in the heaven, like Berlin. You know, I've lived in Berlin. I know pretty much what's going on in Berlin. I've been in New York. I've been in Los Angeles. So I really, really know when you are in a city and you know what's going on within a city, then you control, of course, with very, very, very few people, the whole city. Okay. Now, very soon, for example, we will see which star is coming out of New York City. You know, Donald Trump. Now, when Donald Trump will be president, he will be initiated here. Now, that's New York City here, somewhere in Washington D.C. Here, here's that star. Oh, it's interesting. It's Washington D.C. So once he becomes president, or maybe Hillary, once he becomes president, he will be initiated into this structure. And we see here's the White House, here we will sit. And above him, you can make out like a little, Magen David. So it's a very planned and structured city. Because people sat down, measured the city, and built this according to their understanding of truth. And very successful. Very successful. Now, while other people did this for all types of cities, I did this for Jerusalem. Okay, and not by thought or not by theory or no, but practical application. By practical application, by literally living in that city for 11 years and deeply, deeply, deeply go into the whole issue of what is the relationship between modern day Zionism. This is the expression of Judaism currently, which founded the state of Israel. But also, how is this connected with the Bible? How is this connected with the Bible? Because when we look into the Bible, we see Jerusalem popping up over 767 times. So it's quite a lot. So if you want to know anything about the history of Israel, of Jerusalem, well, then you need to read the Bible. If you do not read the Bible, if you do not understand what's written in there, well, then you have no idea how the government ultimately of that city is structured. Now, because I am not Jewish, because there is no openly physical relationship with the Jewish people by birth, you see, I, of course, came at a very, very late stage into the game. That means I was born here, so very far away, here in Düsseldorf, 1967. And by the time I was born, I mean, There were no Jewish people. I have no idea what's written in the Bible. I had no idea. I mean, seriously. And with me, nobody else. I mean, honestly, how was it possible for anybody to know the truth when he was born into an absolute destructive continent, which is stricken by religious, by power, by whatever? There is constant war going back for 2,000 years because Rome, one day, 2,000 years ago, were the powers in Jerusalem and killed Jesus Christ. you know? I mean, who would have known in the year 1967, who never had a Bible in his hand, who never was explained the history of Jerusalem, who never was able to travel. I mean, how would you explain somebody the great mysteries hidden within the Jewish people for the last 3,500 years? Okay. Now, for anybody who was born in there, had to either find out for himself and go there, or was reliant on information which today are looking like this. Like where people never ever have been in Israel, but when you come up with, Israel end time, end times, I mean, you will find all kinds of information, which is solely based on assumptions, on assumptions, on assumptions. Now, interestingly, when I look around this year, here's Derek Prince. Okay, Derek Prince has been a great teacher of Israel. He has his own Wikipedia entry. All right. And when he died on 24th September 2003, I was one of the first persons to cover him. And I was at his burial. He was my neighbor. For 3 years, we were together in one home group. And his teachings about Christian Zionism, about Pentecost, about anything, went into the English world like no other person before. Okay, now he went to these places I went to. He went to the places I went to. Now, because only now technology and things make it even possible to explain this, because it was nearly impossible like 20 years ago, before internet, before some high-speed access. It was not just possible to just look into the Bible, pick up a picture, pick up a smartphone, make a video and post it up onto the internet for everybody to understand. It was not possible. So when in 2015 various signs in the heavens happened surrounding Israel, the Lord says, okay, thus speak the Lord, God of Israel, saying, write thee all the words that I have spoken unto thee in a book. Okay, I mean, this is a clear instruction. And so when I'm coming out with the videos, they are based on the things, the word, the Lord told me. All right? And they center around Zion. They center around Zion. Now, Zion is 153 times in the Bible. And Zion has a government structure. It has something to do with a king. Now, a king happened to be 2,504 times in the Bible. So a king, actually, it's quite important. It's quite important. Now, Israel appears 2,390 times in the Bible. Now, Trinity is like about zero. Okay, God the Son no is not in the Bible. The Son of Man, it's quite often in the Bible. Yeah. That's why, because the Bible is a story. The Son of Man, it's 193 times in the Bible. Why? Because the Son of Man is anybody of us. We are the sons of man, of course. From whom else? We are from man. Now, man was divided not according to Rome, but according to the numbers of the sons of Israel. Okay. Now, in the whole story, since 1967, it was that nobody outside the Jewish people was even able to comprehend what the erection of Jerusalem actually meant, because they were totally lost in false church teachings. Absolutely. And in our time, for Jerusalem, somebody had to come out of nowhere, out of somewhere. I mean, it doesn't matter. To go and to check what the prophets of old actually said. I mean, it's clearly written. Okay. Now, according to Acts, according to Acts 1, anybody who says, okay, I'm a Christian, so there are a lot of people who claim, yes, I'm a Christian, I do this and this and this, it's absolutely great. But what Jesus actually said, you shall receive power after that the Holy Ghost is come upon you, and you shall be witness unto me both in Jerusalem, in all of Judea, and in Samaria, and unto the uttermost part of the earth. Now, practically, by the time, at the time Jesus was saying that, there was no physical possibility to actually do that. Now, while you received actually power and you could go to Jerusalem, it was literally not possible to go to the ends of the earth. I mean, one travel from Berlin to Jerusalem back in that time, was like 2 years, 3 years. The ships of Solomon took like 3 years. They were 3 years around. Okay. So while the spirit of Shavuot fell 2,000 years ago on these people, they were just the first seeds. They were just the first seeds because one day, okay, one day God knew that the children of Israel will be, after they are lost totally, absolutely in their transgression, they will wake up. Once Jerusalem is established, they wake up and realize, wait a second, we don't want to follow the Pope. We don't want to do this. No, we don't. We want to follow. We want to follow the story. Now, in the last 49 years, there are witnesses onto Jesus, definitely in Jerusalem and in all Judea and in Samaria and onto the uttermost part of the earth. Now, one of these witnesses is myself, who came out of the nations, okay, into Jerusalem 1967, stayed there till 2007, and brought the message of Ephraim, of Israel, of the word from Jerusalem to the uttermost parts of the earth. 22 years. Now, because I had a rough time over 7 years. Now, for anybody who reads about the seed of Satan, you know, yeah, the seed of Satan. 1 second, that is a revelation. Offenbarung. No. Okay. I know thy works, and where thou dwellest, where even where Satan's seat is. And thou holdest fast my name, and hast not denied my faith, even in those days where Antipas my faith was, and so on and so on, where Satan dwelt. Now, nobody knew back then. Yeah, it was for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. There was no seed of Satan. Okay, but in 1933, the seed of Satan was placed into the heart of Berlin, right here. Okay, right there. Okay, and there are a lot of pictures about this. Let's see if we find here the pergamon. Here's the. This is the original seed of Satan. The Nazis dug out. Now, when you are in this room, okay, here, there are various maps. You know, there are various maps. You know, I was living there. I was living there. Meaning, I was one of the witnesses, not only in Jerusalem. No, it's by a, in quotation, funny incident in history. Okay, I immigrated from Germany in '96 to Israel, went from there to the four corners of the world, and in 2008 was dropped for 7 years at the seat of Satan. At the seat of Satan, literally. Now, the big problem becomes, of course, while everybody reads this in the Bible, and they say, yeah, but they just overread this because it doesn't have any meaning for them. It doesn't have any meaning for them. Because they, do not believe the Bible. They believe the Pope. They believe the, their pastors. They all rely on information, which are third-hand and chewed up and not properly thought of and not well researched and so on and so on. Okay? And there is a lot of gore and a lot of bloodshed in there, and a lot of catastrophe, and a lot of, people are talking about the total destruction of this planet. Now, while everybody thinks it's a total destruction of the planet at hand, we see that people are killing each other. And the whole purpose of what we experience today, the whole purpose of Ephraim, is that somebody had to come out of the nation who experiences this and makes peace in Jerusalem. Why? Because he's subject to this, not because he's king by force or anything, no, because he suffered through all this, measured the city, found out the problem, where the problem is, and presents a solution. And because it's a pretty cool solution, everybody agrees upon it because it's from the Lord, okay? And this is why everybody agrees upon it. And he is legally, elected, selected, by all, by all involved parties. By all involved parties. Now, because I believe this is all done in justice, so my research, when I'm talking about, it's not only based because I'm, read some funny verses in the Bible, okay? but because the whole Bible is centered around Israel, is centered around the Jewish people, is centered around the true person of the King of the Jews, basically. Okay, I dedicated my life to this to find out at hand. So every dot is a place where I've been, you know. So why this comes very important, for example, is currently the daughters of Zion. And I would like to go to Zechariah 9. Zechariah 9. So, it says here, rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion. Shout, O daughter of Jerusalem. Behold, thy king cometh unto thee. He is just and having salvation. Now, while for anybody of you, as I said, they have like some, what can I say, like some idea. Okay, who is the daughter of Zion? You know, now for me, these are literally my girls. Okay, let me see. Because they were born in Jerusalem. Now let me see if I can pull up a picture here. Or I can go to Facebook. Okay. Where do I have my pictures? Bing. So this is the funny stuff I did. So when we're talking, okay, this is Daniel actually. Now this is Daniel. Okay. Now Daniel is called Daniel because of the prophet, and he's here. Some friends visited us, so he's sleeping with the Bible. I mean, you know, with the Word of God here in Jerusalem. This is the Jerusalem edition, 1967 and 97. Now, when I was in Taj Mahal, you can see this here. You know, I carry like the Land of Israel necklace. It's from Jeremy Gimple. He's today very active in Israel News or something like this, and he's politically active. True Zionist. You know, I like him very much. Now, the funny thing is, you know, with Jeremy Gimple, for example, let me see, Jeremy Gimple. Yeah, that's him. Okay, so when he started, oh yes, already also his nice Wikipedia entry. Okay, so so he's an Israeli guy, you know, came from the States, and he created these Land of Israel necklaces. This was his first product, and I sold, I think, several hundreds of them. And wherever I went, I really took Israel, you know, Israel to the utmost parts. I mean, wherever I went. Okay, Jeremy, this is really good, you know. You know, Jeremy, I know that you are actually now a radio host and you're dealing with all these Christians. Now, the funny thing is, you know, perhaps you can remember on when we were meeting at the ICEJ, and then you were talking always about conversion, you know, about, yeah, and it's, you know, the Christians, they're nice guys, but why do they always have to convert people? So, and I told you, I said, yeah, please don't blame me. It's your fault, you know, because, well, I mean, it's the Jewish people, okay? Perhaps, you know, you didn't like them, what can I say? But the Jewish people, I mean, it's from them. The message went out from the Jewish people. And they went out to the four corners of the world, and somebody told me. Okay, now I just heard the story. I just heard the story when I was here. You know, I just heard the story I was here, but I wanted to find out the truth, and came one day and was witness in Jerusalem and talked with you. You know, that's the whole point. That's the whole point. Because the story which went out for 2,000 years suddenly came back very, you know, and it's, in a way, Jeremy, this is how the word becomes flesh. You know, because, I mean, at some point, somebody who is not Jewish, and Jeremy, somebody who's not Jewish, who's reading this, if he wouldn't have like this really, really, really connection to the land of Israel, if he wouldn't live for this, I mean, if he wouldn't present his body, if he wouldn't be this, how do you think the sons of God will be recognized? Of course they are, because they live from this, not because they're Jewish, no, because they are the promised sons of God in Zechariah. And of course, they are in quotation, they are Christians. Why? Because they followed the king of the Jews. They followed the king of the Jews. Now, the funny thing is that the king of the Jews, in John 11:54, and this is my argument where I say, guys, if you are a Christian, a believer, then you better listen to Ephraim. Why? Because John 11 is the most prophetic, how can I say, the most prophetic chapter nearly in the Gospels. Why? Because it's the resurrection of Lazarus. Okay, which Lazarus is 4 days dead after Jesus waited for 4 days to come, 2 days to come, so 4 days and 2 days. And then we have the prophecy of the high priest concerning that it's better for one person to die than, let me see this here. Then gathered the chief priests and the Pharisees a council and said, what do we? For this man doth not many miracles. If we let him thus alone, all men will believe on him, and the Romans shall come and take away both our place and nation. And one of them, Caiaphas, being the high priest, the same year said unto them, you know nothing at all, nor consider that it is expedient for us that one man should die for the people, that the whole nation perishes not. And this spake he not of himself, but being high priest that year, he prophesied that Jesus should die for that nation, and not for that nation only, but that also he should gather together in one the children of God that were scattered abroad. Then from that day forth they took counsel together to put him to death. Jesus therefore walked no more openly amongst the Jews, the Judeans actually in Judea, but went thence unto a country near to the wilderness, where the scapegoat was placed, into a city called Ephraim. And there continued with his disciples. Now this is the only time where Ephraim actually is in the New Testament. Okay, so after Ephraim 164 times or something like this, meaning Ephraim is 165 times in the Bible. So it's basically a total Jewish, in quotation, character, because it's 164 times in the Old Testament, but only once in the New Testament. And it's exactly in the moment, after the high priest, prophesied, that he said, okay, listen, it's not only for the nation of Judah. No, he died also for you, of course. He was king of the Jews. And I think the last 2,000 years proved that. Now the issue, of course, is because the Judeans back at that time, they didn't want to accept him, and he left to Ephraim. Of course, he was sent to save the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Yeah, twice. But go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But he answered and said, I'm not sent, but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Okay, so and this was the tricky part. This was the tricky part back then. So this is the message which went out, because the Jews back then who accepted, who experienced the resurrection. There were enough people who experienced the resurrection. Okay, people were resurrected. Yeah. Now that the whole story in between Paul and Rome and the Jewish leaders back at that time was about the resurrection. Okay, how does this happen? When do we resurrect? Who's our king? You know, is it God? Is it the priest? Is it the high priest? No, is it the Son of God? Now, the sons of God, we are called to be sons of God. Yeah? Sons of God. Sons of God. We are sons of God. We are called to be sons of God. Now, the problem is when the sons of God come together and present themselves before the Lord, you know, sometimes a liar comes in the midst. He is like the accuser of the brethren. Okay? Now, and nothing, you know, is more of a lie that your brother is not your brother. You know, that because he believes in a different way, or because he's from a different mother, or because he is, you know, expresses the same faith to the same Father in heaven, you know, this is a lie that you do not believe that he's your brother. And because of that, you start lying yourself. Okay. Now, all this research, of course, is going towards a peace, a true peace between Christianity and Judaism. Not because out of power or might, no, absolutely through the Spirit. Why? Because it's absolutely necessary. Okay, the current today structure of the world, through the United Nations, through power, and so on, is absolutely, totally depending on Rome. And Rome is a kingdom. I said this many times, and Rome is the place which needs to be basically hand over, or is the power who has to hand over the keys of the kingdom to Jerusalem, you know, to the rightful owner. Now, because the Jews already have their part, Judah already has their part. The Jews, through the Zionists and the federations and Rabbanut and everything, and the IDF and the Shin Bet and the Mossad, and the Jews and their technologies, they have their part of Israel. They do. But what they do not have is like this whole other part, you know, the West Bank, and of course Jerusalem, and of course the Temple Mount. Now, currently, the Pope there holds the sticks. He holds the sticks. Okay? And it is absolutely necessary to understand that the Pope legally has to hand over the stick, according to the prophets, you know, to Ephraim, of course. Ephraim is the firstborn. Okay? And we see this in Jeremiah. Okay, so once, you know, after the trouble of Jacob, for I am a father to Israel, and Ephraim is my firstborn. So Israel became, you know, God became a father to Israel in 48. Now, in 67, you know, the battle for Jerusalem, you know, started for the kingdom, you know, the birth pangs of Messiah, if you like. Okay, to the return of the king that started 50-year cycle. Now we're in the 49th year, and now the question is, who is the firstborn? Who is the firstborn of the city? Now, whoever the firstborn is, okay, legally the Pope would have to hand over that that piece of property. Why? Because currently he is the Bishop of Rome, and he set over the grave of King David, the grave of King David, which is here. Okay, here, Last Supper room. This is where he sat. I posted a video up on there. Now, this is the place where I said, okay, you know, when he is already King David, this is our location here. In my mind, you know, unfortunately, there are still open issues. You know, this is why we have the Return to Zion thing. But nevertheless, so the Pope actually there declared himself king over Jerusalem. Now, on my birthday, and this really ticked me off, was when he visited the Temple Mount. I said, what? He doesn't. He's not the owner of the Temple Mount. Now, the Jewish people gave it to them. Their Jewish leader gave it to them. I mean, it's in '67, the Temple Mount was kept. I mean, it was taken. It was taken. But the rabbi said, "Oh no, 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 no! We have to wait. It's not ready yet." And then they handed this over back to Rome, and gave Rome this upper room. Now, out of that upper room, in order to bring the real peace, somebody really has to come, in quotation, out of that upper room. Somebody has to be proven record, born by the Spirit, by a super duper date, coming out and proclaim, hey, listen, please next time stop by and hand over the keys to the city, to the firstborn. To the firstborn. To the firstborn. And Ephraim is my firstborn. Now, because that is legal, because that is possible, because there are many things involved, I started to collect documents, for quite some time, about nearly any document you can think of. I started writing letters, to a lot of people. Now, any major topic involving this place, okay, is based on a research, active research of 22 years from here to anywhere else, okay? And after 21 years walking around as somebody who said, okay, I am, priest of the Most High, when I came out of Germany, I said, oops, everybody lied to me. I want to get out. Okay, so I went to court, said, okay, I'm priest of the Most High. What? I said, yeah, it's by German law. We have a basic law, and our German law says we can say whatever, nobody can hinder us to make a confession. Now, my confession, 95, was I am priest of the Most High. And I married one of the witnesses, So, 1 second here. Oh, here, let me see. I wanted to check. Okay, I have a crash here. Wanted to show you some pictures. Now, in any case, so I'm preparing now these documents. Now, one of the documents I sent to Avraham Feld of the 12 Stone Council, and actually ask him, from my perspective, and Jeremy, this will be extremely important for you too, because, a radio host, and so on and so on. We know us for a very long time. Now, it would be very interesting, and this is what I asked him like over a year ago, what he says about my, in quotation, story. So I sent this to him like over a year ago, before the Shavuot conference, actually on 25/5. Now I changed this several times. Now the first guy I sent this was actually a somebody in Hollywood, because that story, that this is even able to come out of somebody, like a nobody who is not learned, who is not studied, who doesn't have a certificate from some funny university, okay, you can make movies out of this. This is like 21 years essence of a person who is prescribed in the Bible, okay, and this is the research, including some historical photographies, very historical photographies. Now, because of my funny name and my funny birthday, I dig deeper into this, and I came up with some absolute strange stuff. which by coincidence happened to fit some funny Bible verses. Yeah, very funny Bible verses. Not very funny Bible verses, but one of the main issue, for example, is for me the hip of Jacob. You know, when Jacob struggled with the angel, he received a broken. How is his hip? No, it's not. Okay. So here's hip. So it's 32:25. You know, 25, my birthday. When the man saw that he could not overpower him, he touched the socket of Jacob's hip, so that his hip was wrenched as he wrestled with the man. So because of that hip, the Jewish people, you know, do not eat the right leg. I mean, this is like we all have to remember Jacob's hip. Now, I do have a Jacob's hip because out of, you know, I had an accident. I do have a Jacob hip. Okay. Now, this is one of the circumcision of your, if you like, of the flesh. Now, while some people read about, you know, the story, the great stories of Jacob, how he wrestled with the angel and then started limping all his life and divided the camp and had troubles with his women and so on and so on. Now, for me, this was in a total different way, absolutely true. You know, and I was shocked for myself to suddenly realize, oh my gosh, you know, it's like Jacob, you know, Jacob. Okay, Jacob is 358 times in the Bible. Appears first time in chapter 25. Now, the interesting thing about you know, this whole Ephraim and Jacob is because my grandfather, actually, this is my my grandfather, and so his name is Jacob. Okay, now I found out that he has like this, you see like this birthmark here, and this birthmark, there is a study on this, the incidence of birthmarks in Israel and Neonates. There's a certain birthmark which only appears in Ashkenazi Jews. Yeah, that a certain type is only present the vast majority of Jewish infants with Mongolians were of Asian birth. So there are various issues. On the other hand, some other were found only in Jewish infants on or European ancestry. Okay, so this specific type, you know, after basically going through all the children of Abraham, okay, this special type of skin thing is very prominently on the right leg on my grandfather Jacob. So when I'm talking about Ephraim and things like this, yeah, I'm the, you know, it has a total different meaning for me. Now, the funny thing is, you know, so I have the same birthmark. And it was skipped for one generation. I have the same birthmark. And you know, so all this I only found out after studying, you know, hundreds of documents. Okay, and I after finding out basically that some of the questions I found out nobody asked before. Okay, so for me it's very difficult right now to basically release some of the information. So I will do this at a time, and I hope that you help me with this. You know, so Jeremy, for example, you know, after I thought about you now, land of Israel, let's do something together. Okay, let's get back in touch. You know, I slowly will go through my map and address the living stars here personally, invite them, okay, and really would like to focus on our location. This return to Zion, this is, you know, we use here fundraiser tool. I want to make this very practical together with Scott Diffendorfer and really build with our brethren in Zion the peace in Zion. Okay. After we've measured, after we sifted the wheat, you know, we go and take action. Okay, so we have about 1 year time after counting now for 49 till 49. We counted the Roma 49. Next year we will be 50, and then there would be time for Yom Kippur. And if you take a look in the stars and the heavens, it's time. Now, be in touch. Spread the news. Sign up. Let's talk. See you later.